Ooh. I didn't mean to talk so long. I'm sorry.
We can make it up later.
Okay, so this will be quick. Mainly what I wanted to talk about were search targets and sort of some of the things you can do with search targets. So F5. And I've got some things on here about how the search results get ranked when you're actually doing searches, because we've gotten some questions about that. Basically, Enterprise has a relevancy ranking. It's proprietary. We don't get to know all the details because that's how they make their money. So, but what we do know is that exact phrases in the first title, so the 245 field, right, the author and the subject are ranked higher in general than exact words matching in other areas of the MARC record. Fuzzy search is something that comes into play here, and fuzzy search is a kind of a funny term for taking the, when you do a search, the percentage of characters you put in must be within the fuzzy search parameters, must meet it. So if your fuzzy search is set to 0.5, then half the characters you type in must meet the search. It's not at 0.5, it's at higher than that. But what this allows is for semantic searching, so natural language searching. If you put in something like plural, or you're like me and you misspell everything, then it will correct some of those. And so it's meant to sort of mimic Google, right? If you ever type a search into Google and you misspell it horribly, like I do all the time, it'll still produce results. So that's sort of what's coming into play when you're seeing results in Enterprise. If you have really specific questions, a lot of times it has to do with the cataloging. So if you send them to the help desk, I can look into them and let you know why you're seeing what you're seeing, or kind of give you an idea of why you're seeing what you're seeing. So real quick, here are some tips. You can use Boolean searching in Enterprise. So fuzzy search applies to every search you do unless you put it in quotes, and then you get an exact search. You can use the minus sign to say, I want this, but not this word, and then it's searching the entire word and the record and taking out anything that has that word. And again, you can do blank or empty searches, so you can just hit the search bar and it's going to pull up everything under whatever search limit profile you're searching under. I can show you those if you want, but I'm trying to go quick. So, okay. You can search by bib number. You can form it like that, and obviously where mine says default, you would change it to be your profile location. And then this gives you the exact bib number, and it's going to bring you to the detailed display, so the kind of the full record of that specific bib record. We do have a bib number index built into the SELCO default search. So you can search by a specific bib number right in the search box, but you'll want to put quotes around it because it's an exact search. But I always make the caveat that bib numbers do change. We're doing a lot of cleanup. Things get merged. Things get moved. So don't be surprised if a link stops working. You'll need to check those periodically. I can just show you that, I think, here. So basically, you can type in a bib number here, and let's go. And so if I type in 12443110, it'll bring me right to a book on Queen Anne, hopefully, yes. So this is what you see if you want to search by and create a link that is just to that bib record if you're doing that for some reason. Like I said, there is a bib number index here. So let's see. Yeah, and just to show you this, of course, you can do a blank search just by hitting this search button, and it's going to search everything in all libraries, so it should pull up slightly more than 620,000 bids. So this is everything in our catalog that's showing up in Enterprise. And you can do the, not kind of how I tend to search, and then limit by DVDs, because I don't like kid DVDs. So then that's all the records that don't have the word juvenile in them is how you would do that. So one thing. Kind of talked about this. The one thing I did want to point out is that the facets rank, and Tyler, you might need to correct me here, rank by number of results, and we can't change that. So
for the most part, except for, like I said, certain excellence, the library and publication dates.
Okay. Okay. Yep, those two. Tyler already talked about a lot of this. So what I really want to talk about was search limits real quickly, and I wanted to show you some things you can do with search limits because they're kind of fun. So search limits are here. It's called search limits or targets. It's this first box, the one that people are like, it keeps changing, and I know. So what we most commonly set up is search limits for your libraries. But you can also do by format, and you can also do by a specific collection within your library, a collection code that you're using. You could do by call numbers. You can combine those so that you can do a search limit by call numbers and location. So for example, I did a gardening search limit where you can get all your gardening books at Plainview. And so what this is pulling up is anything between the call number of 635 and 636. So, and that's her books that have the word gardening, or are between that call number, but limited to just Plainview. So, now might be a good time for a limit like this because we're all thinking about our good intentions, right, towards our gardens. So if I just do a general, and I'm under the text profile, so it looks a little different. And this will just give me, this one's giving me, I think I did this by call number search again. So 2,411 in that 635 call number. I did a story time, Owatonna, you have a story time collection. So I created a search limit that is based on that specific collection code, and so these are all your books in that collection code. A lot of them are DVDs, or formats, I mean. So here's all music CDs across the entire region. If I can search, put those up. And then again, you can limit those. You can limit those formats to specific locations. So if you wanted just your items at your library in a specific format, you can do that too. So let's see, audiobooks. You can search basically anywhere in the MARC record. I put the word consistent because if you're not consistent, your results aren't going to be consistent. So subject headings tend to be a really low-hanging fruit because those are authority records, so they are consistent. But you can search all sorts of things in your collection that you've done consistently. You can make them enforced, which means you don't even see them, that if you hit search, it's automatically doing that. Search, that you see that in some of our genre rooms. Or you can make them optional where you can choose from the drop-down box. And you can also choose which one is your default. Like right now, most of you have your local library as your default. And it switches back to that when you change your limit. Under a room like, let's see, I think I did it to, under a room like Towel Day here, it made sense to make the default, oops, and I didn't do it.
You enforce it.
I guess I didn't. Let's find another one. Oh, I did it under my test profile. Sorry. So if we look at this one, the Minnesota Book Awards, you can see it's enforced, or it's the default, sorry. So it always goes, that'll be what the default search is. You can still select it and change it back to another one, but the default search will be that Minnesota Book Awards room. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with search targets and searching in Enterprise. So if you have any ideas or you want any search targets or search limits added to your profile, just contact the help desk and we'll help you set that up. Other questions on searching in Enterprise? Lisa?
Let's just say we're going to spotlight weddings for one of our displays.
Yeah.
Should we have you just do it for a month?
Yeah.
And that's, you're not going to like want to put it out on us or anything?
No. These are actually pretty straightforward to create, so just contact the help desk. Say I want a search limit that covers weddings. We might have follow-up questions for you. And then I'm sure she could just tell us when she wants it down and we could put one of us put it on our calendar or something. So, yeah. So, yeah. It's great for things like that, spotlighting a collection for a time, like gardening right now. Okay, I'm going to be done then. Is there anything else?
Thanks, Cheryl. Okay, so you remember a few minutes ago how much fun Tyler was having with the rooms that he created, and towel room and things like that? Well, the good news is you can have that kind of fun too if you want. And you can have that much fun by joining the Rooms Committee. So before we went live on Enterprise, we first started kind of floating this idea, and some of the original conversations were in this very group. And we were hampered a little bit by the fact that nobody knew exactly all the details of what rooms were and how they were going to work. We sort of had a vague idea. But things have become a little more clear now, I think. Now that we've got some rooms in operation, we've created a few. I think it's a little more clear now how rooms can work. And I think it's clear that we've just begun scratching the surface of what this tool can do for us. So as we had discussed previously, we are moving forward with the creation of a committee to create rooms. So we are looking for a few good people, 6 of you to be exact, 6 volunteers from online libraries, as well as 3 SELCO staff members who are also going to participate. And we are looking for those people to create rooms. Now, as you've seen from all the previous presentations, rooms are just containers for content that is separate from what's in the catalog, the searches and the records. And those rooms can contain deep links to specific bibliographic records in the catalog. They can be predefined searches, links to external resources on the internet, just straight HTML code. There's a lot of things we can do with these rooms. We're going to be looking to this group to create new rooms. So much like we have a very good infrastructure set up for shared cataloging, we see that kind of as the model, where we have a smaller group of people who work together to create rooms content that the rest of the region can then use. SELCO, we don't have the staff power to create all the rooms that would be necessary to really use this tool for all the exciting possibilities that it has, at least not without doing some major restructuring of services. So if we put some time in and we get a few of you to put some time in, we're hopeful that we can actually create something really neat. And while creating new rooms is a big part of what this group will be doing, there is going to be some updating as well. So as new links become available for topics, we come up with new ideas of how to showcase the content, there may be some updating of the existing rooms as well. We will give our volunteers the training and the privileges that they need to create rooms. I know in some of the earlier conversations we talked a little bit about, well, maybe the volunteers would just identify the resources and the SELCO staff will create the rooms. Yeah, that's not going to work. So we're not going to do that. If you choose to do this, and if your library allows you to do this, we will show you actually how to get into the enterprise admin console and create rooms. We can give you a level of privilege that allows you to do that and nothing else. So don't be afraid you're going to mess anything up or anything like that. We will also create some test profiles for you to do that work in. So nothing you do is going to show up in production for anyone else to see until it's ready to go. SELCO staff will provide support. Certainly, we will help you after the training. We will answer questions. We will be there to provide assistance. And I'm hopeful that the members of the committee will also be able to work together a little bit. I think this could be kind of fun, I'm hoping. And I want to really stress that the ability to code is not a requirement. I know I mentioned HTML a minute ago. If you know a little HTML and you want to put some in a room, you can do that. But the software also gives you a what you see is what you get editor so that you can use that as well. So if you've never learned HTML and you don't know anything about that, don't let that stop you. You can still do this. The committee will work to identify rooms that are going to be created. Now, I'm not going to say that SELCO is giving up the right to create rooms of our own if we see some that we think we need. But as much as possible, we are going to work through the committee. And the committee's job is going to be to provide input on what kind of rooms we should have. I think you're a little better equipped than we are, maybe, to know what kind of rooms would be useful for your audiences. We'll have quarterly meetings here at the office with the online meeting capability as well. For us to do that kind of business, to talk about the rooms, decide what we're going to create, set up time frames during which we're going to try and create those, and decide who is going to take responsibility for the work. Now that doesn't mean we can't have multiple people working on one, but my aim is to have a point person for each kind of room so that at least there's one person who's sort of responsible for pushing it on through. We will host monthly work days here at the office for anyone from the committee who wants to come in and work together in a collaborative environment. But those are going to be optional. You do not have to take advantage of them. You don't have to come to all of them. If you just want to come to one every once in a while, that's okay too. I'll ask Dan if maybe we can get lunch provided or something, and I'm sure we can have some fun. And committee members will work at their own pace on these. I think it's important that if we decide to create a certain kind of room that we have a time frame in mind as to when we want it to go out, because I think most people need some kind of deadline. But we'll negotiate that on the committee so that we have kind of a schedule so that we know when we're going to try and roll these things out. Short of that, we'll mostly leave the committee members alone and let them work on their projects, contacting us for assistance or advice or just to talk things through as much as they need to. Does this sound like fun? Anybody want to volunteer right now? As we discussed previously, any rooms created within the committee are going to be made available to all libraries. That's kind of an important concept. So I don't think anybody in this room would do this, but let's just say hypothetically somebody decided to join the committee so they can create all those rooms that only they're interested in. Okay, don't do that. That's why the committee will talk about the rooms that are going to be created. We want this to be a regional resource. But having said that, local content is going to vary. And a wedding room that's used at Faribault is not going to necessarily be the same wedding room that might get rolled out at Plainview. You're probably going to have, I'll try that again. You're probably going to want to have links on there to the local shops that cater to weddings, dress rental, dress purchasing, bakers, all that kind of stuff that goes into a wedding. So in a scenario like that, I can see someone on the rooms committee creating the basic template of a room. And then when a library wants to deploy that room in their profile, we'll work with those folks to decide, okay, well, you need to give us links or addresses or contact information for all the local stores that you want to have included. Other rooms, this won't be such an issue. If a room is primarily built on prefab searches, there may not be that much local customization other than maybe talking about cataloging records and how subjects have been assigned, for example. So the point I'm trying to make is, in some cases, the committee will be designing designs for rooms, and then local people at the libraries that choose to use those rooms will work with us to actually fill in the content. So if you're in Faribault and you want to create the wedding room, don't worry. We're not going to tell you to go out and research all the dress shops in all the towns in the region. That's not going to be part of your mandate. As far as the mechanics of setting up the rooms, Cheryl was just talking about what you need to do if you want a search limit put in place. Call the help desk and we'll do it. The same rule is going to apply with the rooms. I don't see this committee actually implementing rooms for a library. So just for the sake of argument, Lisa joined our committee and she was tasked with creating the wedding room. That's great. She gets it done. It goes out. And then later on, when Angie at Dodge Center asks us, hey, I want that room. That's really good. Lisa's not going to get tasked with setting that up in the Dodge Center profile. We'll take care of that internally. I really see the committee's contribution being the creation of content more than anything else, and helping us identify the priorities. And if you're looking at all this and you're just thinking, oh my God, there are so many rooms and there's going to be so many more and I only have so much space and I don't know what rooms to pick or how to structure them, the committee won't really deal with that. SELCO staff will be doing consulting with any library that wants to talk about that, and that will just be done through the help desk. And I burned through that kind of quickly because I wanted to make up just a little bit of lost time, but I will pause very shortly right now for any questions. Okay. Once we get back from Kosugi, you will be hearing from me. I will be launching some kind of appeal / begging for volunteers who want to join the room committees, and we can all have some fun. Okay. What is next? Online communication is next. Tyler. You're up. So Tyler and I haven't actually talked about this whole clicker thing, so give us just a moment to get our bells and whistles assigned here. So all you need to do is just arrow through the rooms.
I figured.
Yeah. Are we voting?
Yeah.
We will be voting, so get those clickers out.
Anyone need a short?
Anybody need a clicker who doesn't have one?
Yep, I'm getting sharing one.
Now this one is just for our guests from the online library, so SELCO staff, you're not in this one.
Okay. So my little section of polls here, we have 3 questions. We're going to talk a little bit about communication with our online libraries and find out what works for you. So now our first one is for general non-emergency announcements, which 2 of these formats work best for you? Is it via email, checking the SELCO website, our Facebook, our Twitter feed, or SELCOtv? This would just be like, okay, we have a new service available. We have to do pre-expiration notices. How can we best reach you to communicate this information? They can select 2.
I like lunch.
So yeah, just hit any of the 2 buttons, 1 and 2, and then it won't let you put in the 3rd one. I'm pretty sure we said that.
I know that. You can try.
You're going to vote in your SELCO staff. Okay.
So the little meter will click up as soon as you hit the first one. It won't go up again when you do your second voting. So we only know that 26 of you have responded. We don't know if any of you have only voted once.
Not until we go to the results, because then the numbers don't add up quite right if not everyone voted for 2 things. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I think that's long enough now. You said arrow key?
Yes, arrow.
Maybe?
Yep.
Okay, looks like an overwhelming number say that email is the best communication tool to get a hold of you for these general announcements, followed by the SELCO website. It's good to know, because those are the ones we kind of focus on already. No one did pick the Twitter. Okay, our next one is then for the opposite of that, when we do have a problem and need to get a hold of you, which is the one method that works best? Email, the SELCO website, Facebook, Twitter, or smoke signals?
We're not taking time to do a SELCOtv episode. It's an emergency.
We're usually working on something else, and those take a couple hours, so. Do I have to hit an arrow first?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that gave me results.
Was there anyone who did not get a chance to vote?
Okay.
Okay, I don't know.
I didn't see the meter coming across.
No, neither did I. That was kind of odd. If you didn't vote, try voting now, see if it goes in. And if you did vote, try voting again, see if it goes in.
Haven't we used blocks in the past, too, for emergency information?
We did it one time.
Such as Tumblr?
We're not going to do that in the future.
The reason we did that in the first place was when we had email in the SELCO office. So if something happened to shut down, email could potentially go down as well. Now that email is over at Google, that's not as likely to happen. So we dropped the block.
Okay, I'll give you another few seconds, and let's hope that it's updated properly. Okay. So we have is email is the best form, followed by Facebook. Guessing that's not the schools. And some of you appreciated my final answer. Thank you. Okay, and then my last question for you. Oh, and this one does have the meter. God only knows why. What do you use SELCOtv for? This one, you should be able to select any and all of the ones above, although it wouldn't make much sense to select 5 and the other 4. But go ahead and let us know how you find use with SELCOtv, so we can get a little bit idea of what we should be focusing our shows on for this one. I'll give you another little bit yet to answer this. Okay, we could finish this up in about the next 10 seconds. We'll see what our results are. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And results. Okay, well that kind of makes sense for the other. It's kind of the catch-all category for our unusual stuff, such as Reader's Advisory. Okay, good to know what we should be looking at.
Hold it. Training and technology. Got it. I'm posting the Facebook.
I never want to see your lovely face in the meeting recap.
Oh. Okay. I'll continue.
Okay, that is my last question. So thank you for that section of answers. We do have one more of those coming up later on with Donovan.
Thanks, Tyler. So, speaking of SELCOtv, we've got a new show, for lack of a better word, that we're going to be rolling out shortly, and that is called SELCO Links. We've created one prototype episode of this, so I thought I'd show it to you today, and then you'll have a little better idea of what to expect. SELCO Links is going to be a series of videos looking at specific websites, and our goal on this is twofold. One of them is to identify websites that have some specific significance for libraries or the library profession, something that you can use in your development and as you're developing new services. But we're also looking for just general websites. And this is mostly to help those poor folks at the reference desk when patrons come up and say, I need to know a website on knitting because I just decided to take up knitting. And certainly there's Google. But we will try to identify general interest websites on topics that will hopefully help you out as you deal with your patrons' information needs. So without further ado, SELCO links.
Hello and welcome to SELCOtv. This is Rachel Gray, Information Services Librarian at SELCO, and today I'm very happy to bring you SELCO Links, which is our brand new series taking a look at websites that SELCO staff finds interesting, informative, or maybe a little bit kooky and crazy. So today we're going to take a look at this informative website here with read.gov. This is a web page for the Center of the Book at the Library of Congress. And as you can see right here, it invites people of all ages to discover the fascinating people, places, and events that await you whenever you read. I think we can all be reminded of that. So this is a site that encourages reading, and it also encourages reading the classics. And as you can see here on their slideshow, a couple of classic titles are mentioned and introduced. There's also a place here where you can take a look at classic books to actually read them online. So you can go right to them through the website here for the Center of the Book. And it also has a lot of other things on the site, like competitions, book lists, community resources, and the like. So I really encourage you to come to read.gov and take a look and see everything that this site has to offer. The main reason why I decided to feature this website first is that you can never have enough readers advisory sites. It's always good to have more places to go, more places to look when you're faced with what the next good book is to read for either yourself or your patrons. And I also like to remember that the Library of Congress has a lot of different websites out there that are good for a lot of different things. And it never hurts to be reminded of that fact. And so this is my reminder to myself and to you to take a look at the LOC and take advantage of their information. If you have any websites that you would like to see featured, don't hesitate to email us at SELCOtv@selco.info, and we would love to hear from you and get your input on what websites you find helpful, that your patrons find helpful, or that just might be a little bit crazy and off the wall that would be fun to feature throughout the region. So thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to bringing you another SELCO Links.
SELCO Links episodes will generally be 2 to 3 minutes long, so these will be short. You can watch them really quick and then get on with your life. We're planning to put these out once every 2 weeks, and the first one will be coming out sometime in the next few weeks. Rachel Gray is responsible for developing all this. She could not be here today with us, but she asked me to hand out a questionnaire, which you should have found on the counter when you first came in. Now I got to tell you, we had a little bit of a snafu there. Apparently I was supposed to cut it in half, save paper, and somehow I did not get that message, or it didn't penetrate my head or something. So if you have lots of ideas, by all means fill it in. If you want to take these home with you, you can certainly send them back to us in delivery, or just send an email to Rachel with your ideas. This was the form. Okay. And with that, I think it is time to take a break. So why don't we go ahead and take a short break right now. We will reconvene at 11 o'clock.